Hello, I've decided I want to do a quick-ish tutorial about starting from complete scratch and having OpenUTAU installed and making noise. This down here is a shortcut, but it doesn't work. I've just left it there because I made a custom icon to fit with my color scheme and I didn't want to get rid of it. So I have a list of links here. This is all going to be in the description. Basically, we're going to go through, so if we go here, so once you're here, you want to come down here to releases, click on the latest one. For now, I'm just going to focus on Windows. For that, so I prefer OpenUTAU Windows 64.zip. Once that's downloaded, come up here and open the location. It should be in your downloads. Now, it should be in your downloads here. What I like to do is right-click and cut. So then what we're going to do is go to this PC, go to your local disk, let's make a new folder, call it OpenUTAU, and paste. And that should move that in here. Now, I've installed a program called 7-zip that will make this a lot faster. Windows comes with an unzipping software, so you don't have to worry about this. All right, fantastic. It's all in here. What you want to do is run this. It's going to create a bunch of folders here. All right, fantastic. Immediately, I'm going to come up to Tools, go to Preferences, and we scroll down to the bottom, Advanced. Turn on the switch for beta. Close this, and run OpenUTAU again. It'll pop up with this window, hit Update. Being on the beta branch, basically what that does is it gives you the most recent updates and all the recent features, but if there is an issue, you're more likely to experience it, but honestly, I find it pretty fine. If you're not sure about the issues, you don't want to experience any of the issues, hit Update the first time around, and then every other time you open the program and it says Update, just don't update it, and you can stay on the same version that's reliable and works for you. That's totally fine. Now that we have that, I'm going to close this again and do a few things with this folder. I'm going to go back to the local disk. I'm going to right-click OpenUTAU and I'm going to click Pin to Quick Access. That's going to put it up over here. I find this very handy to immediately get here because these are very important files. Let's start downloading some more things. So I have a template file that I've prepared. If you go to the second link, you'll be able to download this file. Cool. We can click on the folder icon again to take us there. Right-click, cut. We can go to OpenUTAU, which we've pinned to quick access, go to templates and paste this in. Now, if you want to, you can rename this to default, and this will make it load every single time you load OpenUTAU. That's up to you. This template is my own workflow, so if it doesn't suit what you're trying to do, don't do that. You don't even really need this, but I'm going to use it for the tutorial. What it does is it comes with a bunch of expressions already set up and a multiple resampler thing set up for you. So we still need to download those resamplers, so let's get into that. It's these three here, links 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to grab more sampler. Let's scroll down here and hit download. Nice and fast. Do that trick again. Right-click, cut, OpenUTAU, resamplers, and paste. Now I'm going to unzip this here. Right. That's going to explode out into a lot of things. That's fine. You can delete the zip file, take out the how to use and the license, the documents, and the readmes just to keep things clean. You can put them in a subfolder if you want to keep them as well. Open up more config.txt. This is what we're looking at. You want to turn on resampler compatibility. I've heard that OpenUTAU does this automatically. I don't know. I just like to do it manually. It's a habit. All right, let's go to the next link. Macros. Click on releases. So when you're installing these resamplers, if you're on Mac or Linux, when you get it like downloaded and the zip file is here, unzip it here, grab the .exe, run OpenUTAU, and then just drag that .exe onto OpenUTAU if you're not on Windows. If you're on Windows, you don't have to do this, but drag and drop it in, and OpenUTAU will do its best to make it run on whatever your system is, Mac or Linux. There's no guarantee that will work, but it's much more likely to work than doing it the way that I'm doing it here. So if we go here, we've gone to releases. This will take us to the most recent tab. We want to grab the Windows 64.exe. If you're on Mac, you want to grab the Windows one. If you're on Linux, you can grab the Linux one. This is only for UTAU, I believe. So once we have that, we can, again, cut, go to our OpenUTAU file, resamplers, paste it in. 2 out of 3, stray cat is the next one we want here. Go again to releases, scroll down, grab the exe file. Again, we cut, OpenUTAU, resamplers, and paste. Once your thing looks like this, you're pretty much good to go. So this is your default beta branch OpenUTAU. The first thing I like to do is go to Tools, Preferences, and just start working my way through everything here. So you can test that this works. Ow. Additional singer path. If you have another folder where you'd like to keep your voice banks, you can set it up here. I don't have that many drives on this tiny laptop, so I'm not going to worry about it. You want to make sure load all depth folders is on for the meantime. So another thing in the settings that I missed the first time around is set pen plus tool as default. Definitely turn that on. Editing, that's fine. Rendering. So if you have a very powerful computer, you can crank this render thread upwards. It's got something to do with how many threads you have on your CPU. I'm just leaving it at default here. Skip muted tracks, definitely. If you have low storage space, you can clear the cache on quit. Otherwise, just keep it in mind to clear the cache every now and then. Basically, you would click here and look for your GPU. I don't have one, so I like to turn on track color in UI. I like to turn off the portrait, just my own preference. UTAU. Default renderer. Swap this to classic. That's good. That's what I like to do. At this point, you want a bank. So I have links to some banks. For Mario and Mario, these are Japanese banks that are already set up to work in OpenUTAU fantastically. So we go up to voice banks. I'm going to pick Mario for now. We go down. So Auspice Plus is the one here that I recommend. It's very similar on Mario's page. Basically, you're looking for the multi-expression one. I'm going to hit download. Now, banks are one of the largest files you will come across doing this. If you have storage issues, don't get too many of them. Like this is 0.5 GB. That's fine, I've got room. If you want to be able to click at the bottom here and open OpenUTAU, you can right-click it down here on the bar and hit pin to taskbar. Basically, it'll be here. Mine's got a custom icon. I genuinely do not remember how I did that. This bank is downloaded, so we're going to click here. So I cut OpenUTAU, go to singers, and we will paste it in here. Now, you can, if you want to, grab this and just drag it into OpenUTAU, and it will do it for you through. I prefer to do it manually, so I go in here, I extract it. Best practice is usually when you're extracting, it gives you an option to do it into this folder or into a subfolder. The creator of these banks is well organized, so I don't worry about that. Right, so it's all in here, and you can see it's got a character.yaml, which means that it's set up for OpenUTAU basically. So I'm going to run OpenUTAU again. Oh yeah, once you extract the singer like this, you can delete the archive file. So now, when we click select singer, we go to classic, and it'll be here. It loads with this VCV. For Japanese banks in general, I much prefer the presamp phonemiser. So once we have this, you want to go to the cog on the track and change this to macros and set this default. You can leave the WAV tool as it is. This sets it up basically for my workflow, which I'll get into in a moment. For now, though, this is just a Japanese bank. Let's say you want an English bank. So for English, I recommend Milk, just because I've used this bank before and I know that it's fine. I couldn't really come up with a better one because I tend to prefer banks that are very complicated, and I didn't really want to pick something super complicated, and I also don't know that many English banks. As far as I know, this one just works. There's more you can do with it, which I'll get into in a different tutorial, hopefully. But for now, we're just going to download it. And this is just about getting a sound out of it, making sure that you can put in a word and it sings the word. I'm not too worried about getting the full potential of this bank at the moment. So while we're here, something good to notice, I know it's a bit hard to see, this is an ARPA-sing English, or ARPA-sing as I say it usually. So keep in mind the format of English. If it is written, if you can find it out, just keep it in mind as we go to install this. We're going to cut, OpenUTAU, singers, paste, and extract. So now that we've installed that, if OpenUTAU has been open the whole time, what you need to do is go to Tools and Singers, and then the settings here, and then refresh. What this actually does is it refreshes all of the singers. It'll look again in the folder and see that we've installed a new one. So we can swap to Milk English. Now this is the wrong phonemiser. What the phonemiser does is it takes the lyrics that you type in and turns it into a format that the bank will understand. This is not a Japanese bank, so we definitely don't want to use that. We want to go to English, and we remember that it was ARPA-sing. Definitely grab ARPA Plus for this one. Why did I suggest these banks and not Teto, like the UTAU bank? From my experience in the Discord, basically everyone who starts out with this program immediately runs and installs Teto. The link is here. When you go to the site, you want to click UTAU Ongen up here. It's the first one. And then as you'll see, you'll probably see the word OpenUTAU and you'll click on it. That takes you to the download for OpenUTAU. You need to scroll past that and you have all of these options. If you want Japanese, you click here. and you click here and it'll give you that set up for that, which is not bad. And then if you want English, you go down to the second to last one and you set the phonemiser. Go to English and it's X-Samper. Now, Tetel's English is just not very intuitive. It's not super easy to use. That's why I haven't recommended it, but you're still welcome to go and download it. Once we're here, let's say we want to start making something. I click once to make a part, I double click and it pulls up the piano roll. This is all the information on the controls, which I'm not going to go through because you can read. The other thing that I want to do while I'm here, if we go to edit and then lock editing of unselected notes, I'm going to just go through and turn them all off. So when we're drawing notes, don't start from the very left edge. It just causes some problems. I tend to start from bar 2. Fantastic. So this is by default resampling with, doesn't say it here, but it's resampling with macros. I really like it because it's incredibly fast. As you see, if we swap to Stray Cat here, you might not believe me, but this is a ThinkPad Lenovo Yoga end of the sentence. I pulled it out of the garbage. I can pull it apart with my fingernails. It's covered in dust. It's got no power at all, but you can still use OpenUTAU on it pretty quick with macros. So you might be wondering what was the deal with the template that I made you install. Basically what that does is down here, these are expressions. These are all settings you can apply, not necessarily to notes, but to these, like, I call them aliases. It's just not really right, but these sections of audio down here. So if you open this drop down, there is a lot here. Most of this has been added by the template with the help of the resampler manifest with Stray Cat. Thank you, Astle, I believe, who made that. With the resampler engine thing selected, let's run it on Stray Cat, for example. Fantastic. Stray Cat has a ton of settings which you can use to fake, fry, and fake devoicing. Now, there's a great guide on their website. So if we go back to GitHub, so if you scroll down here to flag documentation and click here, this will run you through what all of the flags do and how you're meant to use them. Mainly, I'm interested in the fry. But for banks that don't have fry, which is a lot of them, this is incredibly useful if you want to do that. Stray Cat also is just a pretty good quality resampler, to be honest, and it just gives you a whole lot of capability. The other one that also falls under that definition is MoreSampler, which you might have heard about. It's pretty popular. I've inserted a few of the MoreSampler flags that I tend to use. Tension, breath, and then growl, coarse, distort. These are all just for making rough sounds. These are really useful. Tension is quite powerful. Just with one setting, you can change a lot about how it sounds, which is fantastic. Modulation Plus, what this does is it pulls the pitch variation from the original audio file and puts it in as something that you can adjust and edit and see. Obviously not ideal for every bank because when people make UTAU banks, they don't actually usually sing on pitch because you don't have to, but this setting lets you reveal the difference from the base pitch. Even in small amounts, it can add a lot of variation, which can sound pretty good. MoreSampler direct sample. If your engine is set to MoreSampler and you put this on, it will play the audio as it is recorded with no resampling or timing adjustments. This is really useful for breath samples and speaking samples if they're aliased for some reason. You might find it useful. Pitch to volume is also a really cool one. If you put on a vibrato on a note like this, with the pitch to volume flag, where did it go? There it is. You turn this up, it'll modulate the volume in reference to the pitch. Using it in small amounts is probably better. These are just some things you can do that are set up in the template. If you don't like the overwhelming amount of options, you don't have to use the template at all. That's fine. The only thing I really recommend setting up is this here. So if you wanted to do that, hit the cog down here, find resampler engine, and enter this text into the box. And if you have the same resamplers, and if you set the track resampler to macros, it'll work exactly the same as it does here. If you have any problems, do come to the Discord. Make sure you know how to take a screenshot. I like to use the snipping tool, so I go Windows key, snipping tool. That lets me take screenshots pretty easily, and I can copy and paste them straight into Discord. But if you can do that, we'll be able to help you with anything that comes up for the most part. If you can't get this button to make sound, you're not going to hear anything coming out of this program. So make sure this is set to the correct thing. If you're using Bluetooth headphones, close OpenUTAU, connect your Bluetooth headphones, open it again, and it should be here as an option. Do not pick the hands-free option. It is bad. If it's there, don't use it. Another reason it might not be making sound is if you've got the wrong phonemiser set up. For example, here, there's nothing here, which means it will not make sound. It won't even play because it doesn't know what to do. You've got an English bank and a Japanese phonemiser, it will lose its mind. If you have a Japanese bank and a Japanese phonemiser, you're good to go. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was relatively straightforward. That should be everything. Thank you.